Good day. Today we are presenting our topic for the BN6304 Green Logistics Assessment 001. I am Ms. Sin Rong, and along with my group members Joey Teo Jingwen and Shrina Chominchi. The table of content includes introduction, theory, contemporary issues, discussion, conclusion, and references. Today, the green logistics play a key role as businesses are pushed to reduce the environmental footprint of their supply chains. Transportation plays a major role in logistics and is also the most challenging aspect of green logistics. According to the TINS 2024, logistics accounts for at least 7% of global greenhouse gas emission, and transportation alone produces 80% of total logistic emissions. Besides, the road freight transport accounts for 51% in the total emission of transportation. In response, companies are progressively implementing sustainable logistic strategies such as they integrate the electric vehicle fleets to reduce their environmental footprint, as it is no longer optional but is becoming the standard in industry. However, going green in logistics is not simple, it comes with a significant challenge. Therefore, today we will explore some of the key contemporary issues facing in the green logistics.
Stakeholder theory states that an organization's responsibility is not only accountable to a shareholder, but also to the parties who are affected by or can affect its operations. In green logistics, many stakeholders are involved, and their interaction often shape the way logistics companies respond to sustainability goals. Especially, many organizations nowadays set a target to identify, measure, and reduce the Scope 3 emissions, which are the indirect emissions across the company value chain. Let's consider three key stakeholders involved in logistics. First, consumers want a greener delivery option and recyclable packaging, which can influence the logistics company to adopt more sustainable practice. Second, suppliers must adapt to the green standard tools because misalignment with the sustainability goals can hinder the entire supply chain environmental efforts. Third, frontline employees like driver and warehouse operators, whose cooperations, training, and proper tools are essential to ensure the successful implementation of green initiative. And we can see each of these stakeholders bring a different and sometimes conflicting expectations. Hence, stakeholder theory helps us recognize that green logistics involves complex trade-off. This shows that company decisions are also shaped by balancing act between the stakeholder demands. In this way, stakeholder theory also realizes that green logistics is about managing multiple interests. This perspective helps to understand why sustainability initiatives often face a resistance, delay, or inconsistent execution by giving an insight to the root cause like slow technology adoption or weak policy implementation. Now, we will discuss three contemporary issues in green logistics, which is lack of the charging infrastructure, inconsistent environmental policy, and high initial investment costs. First contemporary challenge in green logistics is the limited and unevenly distributed EV charging infrastructure, especially in the developing countries like Malaysia. As of April 2025, there were 74,459 EV registered with the Road Transport Department in Malaysia, according to the Government of Malaysia in 2025. The EV registration has reached 4.44% of total vehicle registrations. According to the MGTC in 2024, there is a target of 10,000 public charging points, including for commercial vehicles by 2025. However, there are only a total 4,161 EV charging stations were installed nationwide by March 2025, achieving a 41.61% of the target. Stunningly, these EV charging stations are mostly for passenger vehicles, while there is only one for commercial vehicles at Tangga, Johor. Such a mismatch between the charging infrastructure and the real-world demand of EV operations has played a challenge, especially for the long-haul logistics that require consistent and widely available charging access across the states. Additionally, according to the MGTC in 2024, Most of these stations are primarily concentrated in urban regions, such as 1005 in Selangor, 990 in Kuala Lumpur, and 330 in Johor Bahru, whereas the East Malaysia and the Eastern region of West Malaysia suffer a substantial lack of such facility. These urban-centric deployment patterns limit the variability of EV for the intercity flight operations or last-mile delivery in rural areas. Besides, Figure 4 shows that under optimal conditions, existing electric commercial vehicle models in Malaysia have a maximum driving range of 340 km, while passenger vehicles reach up to 750 km. Consider the journey between the Johor Bahru and Kota Bahru, which spans approximately 692 km. This exceeded the maximum driving range of more EV available in Malaysia. Thus, as shown in Figure 5, there are only 30 EV charging infrastructure available along the way. Thus, it seems effectively for long-distance travel without an en-route charging compared to a conventional vehicles. Due to the limited driving range of EVs and insufficient number of charging stations along the key route, which currently face a high risk of range anxiety and delivery delays. Moreover, frequent needed to access a charging facility, longer downtime, and the need for route-specific planning can lead to a reduced operational efficiency.
The second contemporary issue is inconsistent environmental policy across the countries. A lot of countries have different policies to protect the environment. The European Union are the one of the most active in environmental protection with the formulation of comprehensive and strict policies. According to the World Population Review 2024, the EU countries such as Germany, France, and Netherlands score a high environmental performance index, and this is due to the strict policies applied into all the sectors. But Asia countries like Thailand, India, Vietnam score a lower EPI due to their environmental policies are still in the developmental stage and remain weak. For instance, most of the European countries implement a lot of regulation zones such as low emission zones, urban road tolls to reduce the pollution and greenhouse gas emission for transportation. But Asian countries still not having any regulation zones. Nevertheless, the regulation not only reduce the gas emission, but cause the cross-border activity become complex due to the global logistic need to adjust the operation by each country's standard. Taking the low emission zone policy as example, each EU countries had different Euro standard, which is a European emission standard that regulate the acceptable level of pollutant applied for vehicles. For instance, Netherlands, Germany, France have different standards. All low emission zones in Netherlands must use the Euro 6 compliant heavy-duty vehicles, while Germany still allows Euro 4 or Euro 1 compliant heavy-duty vehicles passing the LE6. Other than that, the Paris in France only allows Euro 5 compliant heavy-duty vehicles. Additionally, some cities in France have specific hours for the LEZ operation, which complicated the cross-border transport planning, fleet standardization, and delivery scheduling, which making harder to run an efficient and green operation. For example, the logistic operator in France must navigate over 330 unique LEZ routes across the cities. This inconsistent policy standard not only increased the complexity in operation, yet increased the cost to comply the regulations. The costs include penalty. For instance, the company will be charged 80 euros with 28.50 euros of administration fees if enter LZ without compliance or registration. And the most important thing is the penalty is different in each state in the region. This recurring charge can significantly increase the total operating expenses. For example, in Milan, Italy, the freight industry can save 1 million euros from faster, more reliable deliveries, but paying tolls and LZ zones and investing to vehicles that can comply to the regulation lead them to lose 10 million euros and resulting in a net loss of 9 million euros.
Last contemporary issue is the high initial investment for implementing sustainable practice in warehousing, packaging, and transportation. In warehousing, adopting green features significantly increase constructions and retrofitting costs. For example, achieving basic LED certification adds $2 to $5 per square foot, while enhanced insulation and stormwater system can cost up to $8 per square foot. Installing EV charging points alone ranges from 10,000 to 50,000 each. Renewable energy systems such as rooftop solars and geothermal HVAC also involve steep installation costs, with battery storage reaching $800 to $1,200 per kilowatts and solar carports costing up to $18,000 per space. Most importantly, the ROI for this green system typically takes 6 to 15 years. But ROI for a typical warehouse usually takes only around 3 to 5 years. These substantial gaps make it harder for businesses to justify short-term adoptions of green retrofits despite their long-term benefits. Besides, according to Kin 2025, the eco-friendly packaging market is projected to grow steadily from USD 222.61 billion in 2023 to USD 498.29 billion by 2034, with a 7.6% CAGR. While this indicates a stable upward trend, the growth is not rapid due to the high initial investment costs, which eco-friendly packaging options often more expensive than conventional ones. For example, recycled paper box costs 20 to 30% more than virgin paper. Bioplastic tubes are 40 to 50% pricier than PE tubes, and glass container can cost 2 to 3 times more than plastic jars. Even rPET packaging carries a 15 to 20% premium over standard PET. This substantial price differential further slows widespread adoptions of eco-packaging despite growing environmental awareness. Furthermore, according to Brucey 2022, in transportation, the cost of switching to battery electric trucks is much higher than sticking with diesel trucks. In 2020, a battery electric truck costs about 2.8 times more than a diesel one, with price exceeding $300,000. Although costs are projected to decrease by 2030, battery electric trucks will still be around 1.5 times more expensive than diesel trucks. This is mainly due to the added expenses of batteries, power, electronics, and thermal management system. The high initial investment in transportation has an impact on companies. Pepfleet, a London-based carbon-neutral courier startup founded in 2021, aimed at revolutionize last-mile delivery using a fully electric fleet. With over £21 million, it grows rapidly from 50 vans in 2022 to a plan of 400 by 2024. However, the high initial investment, particularly in expanding public charging infrastructure, placed significant financial strains on the company. Despite increasing demand, short-term returns remained low, making the financial models unsustainable. By March 2025, Pepfleet was acquired by DHL as the company struggled with the high upfront cost of green investments. Another example is British Vote, a UK-based company aimed to build a £3.8 billion EV battery gigafactory to support sustainable vehicle productions. Despite strong environmental goals and demands for electric vehicles, it collapsed in early 2023 due to insufficient capital to fund the construction phase. This resulted in bankruptcy, leaving 232 employees jobless and many suppliers unpaid. This case highlights that even with clear sustainability benefits, yet project can fail if funding needs are underestimated, proving that limited financial resources remain a major barrier to successful green transition. In conclusion, overcoming this contemporary issue requires collaborations among industries, governments, and developers. Without unified actions, progress will remain slow and fragmented, reducing the potential to minimize environmental impact and achieve long-term operational resilience. That's all from us. Thank you for listening. Following are our references.
Okay, now one of you to answer me this here. You have shared a few challenges here. So from your readings, which issue has the biggest challenge in the green logistics here? One of you to answer me this.
I think when investing in green logistics, the major contemporary issue is high initial investment, as it creates substantial financial hurdles for businesses, especially for all those small and medium-sized enterprise. Although green logistics can lead to long-term saving and improve efficiency, but the delayed on return on investments often discourage the adoptions.
Okay, thank you. I'll stop here.